Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're well. You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. It's Monday, baby. It's Monday. We made it through the weekend. You're looking absolutely amazing. Let's hope the week ahead of us is just half as amazing as you look. And then we'll be on to a winner. But anyway, we're going to have 3 videos today. This is video 2 of 3. So keep your eyes peeled. If you've not seen the others, go check them out. We know notifications are a little bit sketchier than a sketchy thing. So let's get into it, because I've been speaking to my man Eddie, and it's very clear that we still have to discuss this case. Because, look, we've got people coming out with some utter bollocks, haven't we? Complete and utter bollocks. Now, we'll turn around and say about the DNA, and there being an issue with the DNA, and potentially the DNA whole system, this around the knife sheath, was potentially planted. It was potentially planted, because let's get into it. That's the only thing that even ties Bryan Kohberger to this crime. And I don't know how that can even tie him to this crime when simultaneously evidence in the PCA would suggest that he wasn't actually at this place. The car, for instance, wasn't his car. The FBI determined it wasn't his car. 2011 to 2013. It's not his car. They want to tell you that the absence of evidence is evidence, because there is no evidence with respect to phone pings that place him in this area. In fact, the phone evidence would place him away from the property. But look, there is also some things around this that, and don't get me started on, again, when we talk about the plant of this DNA, but Howard Bloom, he will turn around and say that Bryan Kohberger was literally blinging blood into the property in order to frame other people. And people are swallowing that. They're eating it. They're eating it up. Yeah, sounds legit. So you don't want to believe that DNA can be planted when it means that Bryan Kohberger could have been framed, but you're willing to accept it if it was Bryan Kohberger doing it. And look, there's so many questions. There's so many questions. Like, in addition to that, and if we're staying on the topic of DNA, for instance, Hitler, who says, and I'm paraphrasing, DNA is evidence every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. Twice on a Sunday! Unless it's not Bryan Kohberger's DNA, because there's blood at the scene, and he doesn't seem to be that interested in learning whose that is, despite the fact that there is other DNA at the scene of a crime that surely that deserves looking into a little bit more than it did. But that's by and by. Those who believe Bryan Kohberger did this are obviously not interested. Even the victims' families, it would seem, they're happy that there was DNA found at the scene. There's blood, and they don't want to be chasing that up, which that in itself is fucking beyond me. That is absolutely beyond me. But let's get into it, because my man Eddie, he's come to me, and we're going to have a chat together. Not me and Eddie, me and you, about what Eddie has said. I hope your family are doing well. Yours too, Eddie. I hope your family is doing well. I have reason to believe the DoorDash driver is involved in some way. DoorDash driver. Who is the DoorDash driver? Why do we not know who the DoorDash driver is? Surely because there's some connection to this somewhere. We even know who the private driver was. We had his name quite early on, but the DoorDash driver always remained elusive. I also believe the many passes back and forth near the house by the Elantra in the PCA are true. But this wasn't Kohberger's car near the house, as the PCA describes, backed up and admitted by the state and prosecution. Which again, with respect of is that car Bryan Kohberger's, it wouldn't suggest that it is. Bearing in mind the FBI agent, at the very least, again, as aforementioned, states that car's a 2011 to 2013. Now, other people have pointed out that there's some other issues with that car, such as sunroofs, etc. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole just yet, because that'll make this video 3 hours long. But the FBI specialist stated that car was a 2011 to 2013. And before you query his job and how good he is at it, he later correctly identifies Bryan Kohberger's car, when he's shown a picture of that, as a 2015 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. So look, you can't have your cake and eat it. He either knows his shit or he don't know his shit. Anyway, per the pic sent you, the average coverage for the tower is 1.3 miles, which I showed you yesterday. If you didn't see the video yesterday, go and check it out, because those are the things you need to listen very careful carefully too. Okay, so the average coverage for the tower is 1 to 3 miles. That is the AT&T towers, which is the provider of Brian Koberger's mobile service. They're especially when you're affected, but in certain rural areas. Now, many people have reached out to me from this area and have said the cell phone, especially AT&T, around this area in certain places, absolute shocking. And we've spoken to Twizzle as well. He has done drives and stuff around here, and he knows how good the cell tower service is around this area. But we're saying 1 to 3 miles. So we know Koberger was likely a couple of miles or more from the house, because at some time later we're going to show you that he can't be in 2 places at once. So PCA, page 13, states the phone was using cellular resources that provide coverage to 95 south of Moscow near Blaine, Idaho. Okay, between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone used cellular resources traveling south to Genesee, Idaho. The distance between Genesee and Pullman is 25.3 miles. Now, if you want to fact check that, fact check it, but that's what it is. So PCA page 14, at approximately 5:30 a.m., the phone is using resources that provide coverage to Pullman. PCA page 8, at approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on Stadium Way. The point, the 8458 phone was last using cellular resources at 5:26 a.m. in Genesee, Idaho, per the PCA. Page 14, at approximately 5:30 a.m., the phone was using resources in Pullman, and at 5:36 a.m., the phone was using resources in Genesee, Idaho, 25.3 miles apart. If there is a suspect vehicle involved, it is the Elantra on Linda Lane, and maybe the BMW X5 seen doing the 3-point turn used as Koberger's car in the PCA. If the on-campus Moscow Police Department, which had several officers, was called to the house and any witnesses were escorted to the department for their statements and held until college administrators were contacted, we can understand why most of the 8-hour delay happened. So the 8-hour delay that we've called it, right, has been a bit of a bone of contention for many, because we've called it the 8-hour delay. But let's be real about this, right? So this crime happens and you've got witnesses left in the house who see things, hear things, apparently. They see things that seemingly don't match. So you've got multiple things being seen, because you can't tell me that if Dylan and the other one, whose brain has gone, Bethany, her name went, one day I can't stop but call everybody Bethany, and then the next day I lose track. But anyway, yeah, so if they were saying exactly the same thing and they were both on the same page, then we wouldn't have this issue with Bethany Funk seemingly having exculpatory evidence and the statements being made that she saw things and heard things that were sort of, there was an exclusivity to it. They were just her experiences. But again, they saw things, they heard things, they were there. One of them came face to face despite not knowing whether she did or not, because she could have been drinking and she's got memory issues and all this, but she saw bushy eyebrows, and the whole timeline is based upon their experiences and the communications with their phones and stuff. So we then have an 8-hour delay. It's not an 8-hour delay, it's an 8-hour missing period of time where something is happening. Now, it's easy to just say it's an 8-hour delay, because then you don't have to offer any explanation, because it's like that 8 hours is just extracted from the scenario and you forget about it. Oh, it's just a delay. But in reality, time didn't freeze, time continued. So if this crime, the build-up and all these things, are hearing things, are seeing things, seeing someone leave, they're communicating, what are they communicating? That they've seen something, heard something, what the fucking hell was that? And then for 8 hours, time stopped. No, time didn't stop. Something happened. Something happened in this 8 hours. And what Eddie's saying here, and especially when you look at it from a fucking hell, this is to do with the University of Idaho, which is our main fucking breadwinner, and we're in the process of the acquisition of the Phoenix University. We've got students who are deceased. We don't know what's going on. We've got cops all in the fucking area. They're pulling people over. They're having conversations with people. You've seen them, the Banfield. You've got people running in the background, disappearing into the night. And even one of them has got bushier eyebrows than Brian Koberger, but don't get me started on that. Point being, time didn't stop. Things were happening. So what was happening? Now, if they thought to themselves, if they did contact 911 or speak to a cop, even go out of the house and go and get one that's just standing on the street 50 yards away, something's happened. It could be explained that this 8 hours was a culmination of the people in the house discussing with law enforcement and then discussing and waiting for the relevant parties to come and have a discussion about how this was going to be dealt with, how this entire situation was going to be handled. So a culmination of the university, Moscow, Idaho police, and these kids and getting their shit together before they went public to the world. This 8-hour delay in... I don't think it's so much an 8-hour delay in contacting law enforcement. I think this is an 8-hour delay of delaying the world learning about what was happening. Us getting hold of it. And they needed to get their shit in order. But anyway, let's carry on. So, sign your statements. We, the police, were never called. Your option is clear. We can state we weren't called, and you can be charged with the felony of no call. So, because remember, again, it is illegal for you to witness something, hear something, see something, whatever, and not contact law enforcement. That is a felony in Idaho. So at the very least, why aren't they being charged with a felony? How can you even ignore that? What, you're just going to say, oh, you can't charge them with something that they can be charged for because they were what? Would they have been charged if they were guys? And I've said this before. Would we be having the same conversation if these two girls were in fact boys? Who knows? Let me down below. Then release the apprehended students to gather at the house. We received no call until 11:58 a.m. per James Fry, but did the campus police department receive calls? This is what we're saying. Who was contacted? Someone was contacted. In my opinion, in Eddie's opinion, an 8-hour period where nothing happened and it's just a delay or people just simply went back to sleep. Fuck off would they go back to sleep? You're hearing stuff, you're hearing bangs, you're hearing thumps, you're hearing thuds, whatever. You're hearing people potentially crying, you're hearing people saying, I'm here to help you. All of this shit that you're claiming, yet you claim that nothing happened for 8 hours. It just don't make sense. It's okay, I'm here to help you, I'm going to help you. DM hears crying from Canodal's room. The male realises she's fatally wounded. DM was already in frozen shock as a result of the attack, which is why she didn't recognise the male, whom I believe was an officer. Several witnesses and not a single call, 6 days a week, but not on that Sunday, Mr. Hitler. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on in this situation. There's a lot of stuff going on around this crime itself. But the 8-hour delay, what was the delay for? Who was being delayed? Was it them in the house delaying contacting law enforcement? Or was it, in fact, the entire area and those who are controlling everything delaying the world learning what was happening so that the entire situation could be controlled and handled, managed? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you all later on today.